All right, so you've been modeling in Blender and you have a object, a 3D model that you want to use in Unity in your game. This is how to get it into Unity. So there's a bit of a checklist of things to do. I'm just going to run you down and hopefully we can burn this into your brain because we're going to do this a bit. So here's my model. First things first is it's nice and centered. All right, as you can see, it's right at the center of my X and Y axes. It's basically on the ground as if that plane is the ground. That's going to help you out with positioning in Unity. So that's step one. Nice and centered. You guys have been practicing that a bit, so that's cool. The second thing is to make sure that you just have your mesh. You don't have your camera and your light. If you don't need them, you shouldn't export them into Unity. We have our own camera and we have our own lighting system in Unity, so we probably don't ever need those two things to come with our mesh. And lastly, the third kind of simple thing is if it's not already burned into your brain, in object mode, if you hit Control A, you can apply all transforms. So that's going to basically lock your mesh into how it should look after all of this stretching and compressing and scaling. Applying all of those transforms basically means, all right, this is how the object should look, and any further movement on it will behave with those current adjustments. So that is basically the easy stuff. If I go into Unity, I want to put this game object into my assets folder. So over in the project tab, you have an assets folder with all the stuff that we've created. This is an actual folder. So if you right click on the assets over here, you can show in Explorer, and this will bring up the File Explorer to show you this exact folder in your computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the address bar and I'm just going to Control C to copy it. And now I have the exact location for where I want my bamboo to go to. So let's do that. To get this into Unity, you're going to go File, Export, and all of these options, but it's always going to be FBX, the .fbx. So try to burn that into your brain there. I don't think I've ever used any of those other things. So I'm going to export to the FBX, and up in the address bar, I'm going to paste that location that I copied from the Unity, and this is where my game is. So typically we're going to put this model in our assets folder, just like where all of the other assets are in our Unity setup. You can give your model a name. I always just go whatever it is _model. And the last things you need to do is you need to make sure under the transform submenu is the up is set to Y up. That's because Unity uses the Y axis for the vertical axis, unlike Blender. And not as important, but a good habit is the forward direction. You can go -Z forward. Once again, just making those conversions from Blender to Unity. You can also click the Apply Transform option. It seems to work pretty good for me. I haven't really had any issues with it. So we're just going to really lock down this model and make sure it's good to go for Unity. Once you've done all that, just hit the Export FBX button. And let's take a look over into Unity, and just like that, you should have a new little thing in your assets folder, your model. Now, your model may be gray or it may have color. It depends on how you were doing your materials. So if it has color and it looks the way you like it, then you're fine. Yeah, you won't really mess with it. If it's gray like me, you're going to have to do two things. The first thing is, if you were just using textures or materials in Blender, if you just created colored materials and you just changed the color and you applied them to your model, you can also just create materials in Unity. For example, we've already went over creating a material. If I just needed my bamboo sticks to be green, I'm just going to create a simple green material, click on my bamboo or my model, and slide that material into whatever slot I needed it. If I hit apply, my bamboo model has color. That's why it was important to name those material slots so you could exchange those materials quite easily. The second thing is if you were using images to texture, this one is an image texture. It's a texture paint image. You need to take the image that you used and put it into Unity. So a simple way to do that is over in the texture paint option, you can click on your image and you can save your image. And where are you going to save this image? Well, in that assets folder, that's hopefully still there. Pick a name, save the image. And now in Unity, you don't just have your bamboo model or your mesh model, you have a texture, you have a sprite. And we need to change this texture type to, actually, we can just leave it as that. We don't have to change anything. But I do have to create a new material. I will call this bamboo material. And what I have to do is I have to take that image of my material and put it in the albedo channel. And now that I have this material, it is an image material, I can just take this material and put it there. And now this is what my bamboo model looks like, which is how it should look like. Looks like it's from Blender. Okay, so the material thing is a bit annoying that you have to do that, but it's not really too terrible. I guess if you had a lot of materials, you might be making a lot of new ones, but that's okay. And if that's the case, it might not be a bad idea to maybe keep your assets folder a little organized. So you could create a new folder and you could call it, you know, the bamboo folder or whatever model you just created. And you can just slide all of the things you need inside of that folder so that it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And then if we need to reference this stuff, we can just go into the folder. All right, so now you have models that we can use in Blender, and that will be the next step as well. How do we use these models and get them set up?